Joyride 1957, Chapter 22. James rolled up Highway 59 at speeds often exceeding the posted speed limit of 55 miles an hour. The big DeVille just wanted to be let free. His band of shadows kept their distance. The T-Bird, SL, and Montclair were all in sight of each other, but none of the three knew that the others were also tailing James. James' mind raced along all day, filled with runestones, treasures, big women, twins, and rock and roll music. The DeVille was already thirsty when he reached Salisaw, so he drove into a Phillips 66 station to fill her with Ethel. He went into the restroom and then got a couple of bottles of Coca-Cola from a machine. A pamphlet attracted his attention. It read, "Bigfoot, Oklahoma Sightings." He began to read about the propensity of Bigfoot sightings in Oklahoma, especially in the Ouachita Mountains, the same place where he had seen the Havner runestone. He really wanted to turn around and take some time to look for Bigfoot, but he chastised himself and decided he'd better stay on course. After the attendant filled the DeVille with Ethel and washed his windshield with its 1,000 bugs squeaky clean, he headed on to the highway again. But his constant mental distractions threw him off course. He somehow turned off of Highway 59 north and, unbeknownst to himself, was now on U.S. Highway 64 west. In an hour he began to approach a major city. He soon saw the familiar black and white sign that identified any town or city one could see as he approached. What should have been Fort Smith, Arkansas, or maybe Tulsa, Oklahoma, was neither of the above. The sign read something else, and soon James found himself in downtown Oklahoma City. He gritted his teeth in disgust, but as the sun was now near the western horizon, he found a room at the Skirvin Hotel, had a steak supper, and passed out on the bed again with his clothes on. "Boss, I tell you we're in Oklahoma City. It's absolutely the wrong way from Alexandria," Jeff told his boss on the phone. "Does he still have my black DeVille?" "Yep," Jeff said, wiping sweat from his brow. He was at a payphone in the Skirvin lobby. "Maybe he's not going to Alec. Maybe he's San Diego or somewhere in the coast. Or Mexico. A lot of history down there," Jeff said. No, not Mexico. It has to be in the U.S. Or somewhere close." Ross thought a minute. "I didn't see anything in his papers at the Palmer Library other than that East Coast in Minnesota. I don't think... No, I think he must have got lost or something. Maybe he's got some woman or relative. You ever seen him since he checked in? Any broads, or is he with anyone?" No sign of him or anyone with him. What shall I do, boss?" "Well, just get a room there and get up early enough to see where he heads tomorrow. If it's back north, then just come on home. I'll fly somebody up to Mosquitoville. Yeah, just come on home. What if he heads in another direction? Then you gotta follow him and report to me as soon as you know the direction he's going. Got that?" Jeff nodded, then realized he was on the phone. "Yes, sir." He hung up and went to get a room for the night. He went to the front desk and got a room with a king bed. He took his bag to the room, then got back on the elevator. Got off the elevator at the lobby and then sauntered into the Skirvin's Hotel bar to find some action, as he called it. He was not disappointed this night. Mr. SL had not lost the trail either and secured a top-floor suite, but the T-Bird twins did lose the trail and ended up that evening in Grove, Oklahoma. They were in the northeast corner of the state of Oklahoma and commenced arguing with one another for a half hour as they searched for a place to spend the night. Eventually they found a motel and then took a walk down to the lake or reservoir, the Grand Lake of the Cherokees. Their tempers finally cooled, and they walked hand in hand the several blocks to the water. The sign said, "Honey Creek area." The two kicked their sandals off and let the cool water cool them off. The temperature was still 94 degrees, and they surmised the humidity must have been the same. Nothing like Rhode Island. The two soon took off their tops and shorts and stood naked in the cool water. They began walking slowly into the deeper water. As they walked, they felt the welcome coolness on their sweaty bottoms. As they stood there with their arms around each other, they heard a rather noisy rustling behind them in the trees. They were aware this was a campground and thought it might be some campers, hopefully young guys. The sun had now set, and as they stared, they saw the bushes move. Must be campers, AJ, the older twin, said. Hello? Is anybody in there? There was no answer except more rustling. Maybe it's a bear, BJ, the younger twin, said. Hello? Are you there? There was more rustling, and then a rather high-pitched growl. Suddenly from the bushes emerged the largest bear they had ever seen. It was more than 10 feet tall. As the girls strained their eyes, they realized this was no bear. It had an ape-like face and long, long arms. They stood in the water, both shaking like leaves, as the massive animal cautiously approached them. It cocked its head to one side and then seemed to say something with its lips. The twins both swore they heard it say hi, and then, what is your name? Because they did not answer it, the beast seemed angered and bared its teeth. I'm BJ, and this is AJ. We're twins. We're just visiting your fair city of Grove, Oklahoma. AJ helped her out. This did not seem to satisfy the animal, or whatever it was. It began to approach them slowly and soon was within 10 feet of the terrified pair. Mister, we're just visiting. We don't want to hurt you. BJ pinched AJ on the rear end. He's the one that's going to hurt. Just then the animal let out a high-pitched scream. BJ began to scream as well, but AJ took her brownie camera from around her neck and snapped a picture of their new friend. For some inexplicable reason, the flash seemed to unnerve the massive brown beast. He or she began rubbing its eyes violently, then it turned and headed back into the woods. The twins put on their sandals, grabbed their clothes, and took off running at full speed in the nude back to their motel room. They were still shaking, but AJ got on the phone immediately and, though breathless, began to tell her story to her director in Providence, Rhode Island. He told her to get the photo developed the next morning and send him a copy as soon as she could. Then he told her to sit down and write down everything, every little tidbit she and her sister could remember. Also, he told her to draw pictures and maps. He said the better they could document it, the better their story would be believed. Are you still on James' trail? He asked. No, I'm afraid we lost him. Haven't seen him since he filled gas in, what was that town? Salisaw, BJ said. Salisaw, AJ relayed. Where in the world? Never mind. Just head for Alexandria. That has to be his destination. Will do, sir, AJ said. BJ got on the phone next and put in her call to Montreal, Canada, relaying virtually the same information. She was also told to continue on to Alexandria, Minnesota. They did not fall asleep until about 3 a.m., but their fear woke them at first light, and they hopped into the T-Bird and drove all day and into the night, arriving at the Lakes Inn in Alexandria, Minnesota, just before midnight. They lay down and both were immediately in REM sleep, albeit spiced up with their new friend.